there was a moment where I'm like, oh, is this Java? But then I realized, oh, the code is there. Maybe you just need to sudo modify it.
We've all heard enough of everyone's best practices in software development. And today we're here with Mahmoud Hashemi to hear about his worst practice. So Mahmoud, thanks for coming on. Please tell us more about yourself and what kind of software you write.
Sure, sure. So I'm probably most associated with my open source Python code and talks and things like calendar versioning and ZeroVert and all that stuff. I also did a lot of stuff like wiki adjacent under like this hat note like brand or something that I run. Most popular thing there is probably listen to Wikipedia. I first touched Python about 20 years ago, but it didn't really stick back in high school. So I detoured through PHP, Java, and C++ before finding my way back home, where I still do Python basically every day now.
Got it. So what is your worst practice?
So I think best worst is in the eye of the practitioner. I'll let the audience be the judge here, but so I've definitely raised some eyebrows with this. I like to hack code I didn't write, and you might say, well, that's just how like open source works. But this has extended in the past to like doing a sudo nano on something in like site packages or in a user lib or something like that. Basically, if something's not behaving like I expect it to, I don't hesitate to just pop it open, start logging, printing, importing PDB, and dropping breakpoints in that code. At least for me, for a long time, I figured that like these files are sacred, right? There's a reason, right, that like you can't modify it. But then at the end of the day, it's just like if it's just a print, right? Like who's gonna care? When I was detouring through Java, I hit a lot of these dead ends, right? Where like you're using your debugger and then you end up in some code that's just stubs. As I went to PHP, all the code was right there, and you could in public HTML or whatever it was, and you could just hack it up however you wanted. I kind of got really addicted to that, and I think when I came back to Python, there was a moment where I'm like, oh, is this Java? But then I realized, oh, the code is there. Maybe you just need to sudo modify it. Yeah, I don't know how people these days still do this, like the dead end way in the Apple ecosystem with radar and all that stuff. I'm addicted to this. And so now I'm doing some TypeScript too. Node modules is there. This worst practice is something that I, still practice pretty regularly.
Great. When you think about this, what are the best practices you should be doing instead? Like, how should you be solving this problem? What are the tools you should have been using that everyone says are the right way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I've thought about it, right? Like, if I was going to change this, right, and I was going to be like a better practitioner, I may go find the library in question and create a independent clone of it and try to create a minimally reproducible case and post it to the issue tracker and then get it resolved. And it's just like, I think even to do that kind of thing, like you still want to poke and prod at the code in some environment, and the easiest environment to like get it set up is the one that's already set up. When I was doing C++, PayPal, huge amount of C++, the like right way of doing this stuff was like you do a lot of S tracing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I mean PayPal's like a primary like executable at that time was so large that they couldn't build it with debug symbols. So like it was just S trace. And
wow.
what's the new adage? I don't know if it's an old or a new adage, but like it's a good adage, and it's like static types are great for development productivity, and then you want dynamic languages for correctness. It's sort of inverted. A lot of people think types are going to give you correctness, but really it's the dynamic nature that allows you to fix your code, to debug and fix your code. I think there are a lot of like
Yeah,
bugs
totally.
that are unfixable in those like hyper compiled and optimized static code bases.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about your worst practice and coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.